Good evening, Brian. It's Thursday. First off, yeah, it definitely sounds like you've had a really busy week this week. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that it's been so stressful and that you've had such long days. However, I do like the fact that I was late like last week and you were giving me crap for it, and now both of your vlogs so far this week have been late. So there's that. So for today's Thursday Top 5, I actually wanted to talk about the top 5 things I like most about Animal Crossing: A New Leaf on the DS. So I will get right into it. These are in no particular order, but these are 5 things I like about it. The first thing is that there's so much to do. It's not a game that really has a linear storyline. You don't really progress through a story or a narrative or anything. But it definitely has so many things to do, and the Animal Crossing: A New Leaf has even more things to do than the original game. And there's so many things that I don't even know about yet that are still happening. I just opened a campground off the side of my area. I'm remodeling the museum, which I didn't think was possible. Like, there's just so many things to do that it definitely has a long tail of how long you can play it and still find new things to do. And sort of related to that is the number 2 thing that I love most about Animal Crossing. And this isn't specifically specific to A New Leaf, but I just love that there's so many things for you to do in regards of catching bugs and fish and looking for fossils and things like that. I really like doing that. I often, as I'm walking around my town, if I see a fish or a bug, I'll go ahead and grab it. But I also will purposefully, look up like, oh, this one thing that I still need comes out in the evenings in the summer when it's raining, and I will specifically look for opportunities like that to get the thing. And I'm definitely kind of a completionist, and so not only having things like this where there is a list of these 4 dozen bugs to catch, but also being able to check them off and have the museum get filled up with them is a really, really fun part of the game for me. The third thing I like is more specifically about New Leaf again, but it's how much they've added in terms of the ongoing tasks for you to do. For example, in your house, there's so many more renovations you can do to your house that it draws that gameplay out a whole lot more, which is nice. And the same thing with the public works projects you can do and the ordinances you can pass. They've added, they took the basic shell of Animal Crossing and they added a whole bunch more things that make the game last longer and that make it have a slower but more continual draw out as you play along it, instead of sort of getting everything done in the first couple weeks and then sort of just being stuck doing not as much. The next thing I really like is that they've sort of kept some of the things that are similar from the first game, but have added new spins on it. Like the fact that instead of Nook running the shop now, it's his kids that run it, and Nook runs the homes, which he did before, but it was all together. They've got some of the same characters from the first game, like Gulliver the seagull, or I think Sahara or Savannah the camel, and how they've just kept some of the old things and brought them to the new game. I really like that aspect of it. And the last thing, hopefully I have time for it, is that I like that they've made the game a lot more balanced. I remember before, when we would play, it just seemed like, you didn't have enough money to do all the things you wanted to do initially. But then as you progressed through the game quickly, you got to the point where you had too much money and there was nothing to spend it on, and the game just sort of felt broken. But the newer version, the Animal Crossing: A New Leaf, seems a lot more balanced. There's things that you can do in the game to get the money that you need, and it seems like you never have goals that are super far out of reach in terms of things that you have to spend money on, but you also never have a giant surplus of money that you have nothing to do with. It's a good balance of like, oh, it's pretty easy to get money, but there's also lots that you can spend it on, but it's not boring to get money. Like, I just think it's really well balanced, which is a lot of fun. As I mentioned, sort of, I'm not super far into this game yet, so I'm sure there are going to be things that I find out more about it, but that's where I'm at so far with it. So Brian, do you have Animal Crossing: A New Leaf? I know we've talked about playing Animal Crossing before, but I couldn't remember if you had this one. And if you do, what do you think about it? Do you like it at all? Do you like the things I mentioned, or is it not one of your favorites? What are your opinions on it? I'd love to hear your answers, and I look forward to seeing your video on Friday. Have a good night.